Hey there, Stephanie Joy with all things Social Security and the law practice of Joy Disability. Here's a short little segment from our recent live stream Q&A that we have every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the YouTube channel, All Things Social Security. Enjoy, and if you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments, and I will be sure to get to them. Thanks so much. Bye-bye now. Hello. Happy Wednesday. We live stream. You guys are well. Looks a little quiet. Everything's fine here. Typically busy week, of course. Got a lot of people doing a lot of different things. We've had a lot of workshops, if you will, to make sure everything is jiving with everyone's roles. So that's always fun. Greg Hondell. Hi, Greg. I don't think we've met, have we? Do I need a lawyer or can I do it alone? I know nothing about it. Well, if you're going to try to do a legal matter and you know nothing about it, you know what my answer is going to be. Probably try to find someone who knows what they're doing. No. That doesn't mean that people don't win on their own if they happen to have that perfect little, all the pegs fit the holes. You don't know if yours do or not. So, and most do not organically. So I, of course, am biased, and I think you should seek out a lawyer or a non-attorney representative who's really good, that comes highly recommended personally, and who you would get that person and not like be in some pool of some entity's pool of non-attorney reps that they just kind of throw cases at. We're getting close, guys. 10 more minutes. L Rule says, Greg, join the club. I got a lawyer and still know nothing. That's because they're busy working on your case, guys, and they don't have time to educate each one of their clients as to all the intricacies of their client's case, or else they couldn't be working on the case. They'd just be teachers. So in defense of the people that, and not everyone does this. Obviously, there's just a small handful of us that do, but let's see. LaRocho says, at almost 55, working full-time for a company that offers benefits is close to impossible, especially with an immune system overload of reactions. I get it. That's why the other spouse hopefully does it if someone's married. Like I would even say to somebody, if your spouse is making a ton of money and you need health insurance and their job doesn't cover it, well then their ton of money you better best cover it and pay out of pocket. If they're not making a ton of money, switch to a company that pays benefits. Home Depot, for goodness sake. Give you a couple of years, do some Home Depot. I mean, you got to get full time, of course. Anything so that your spouse who needs you gets the health coverage that they need to better help their medical problems. I mean, that's kind of like our spousal duty. Our vows are to take care of our spouse when in need. And I think that's part of it. And then, again, if you're making a ton of money, so you don't want to switch, great, but you're making a ton of money. So buy your spouse some health benefits. It really irks me. I'll see someone who's the spouse is not making a lot, but they're not leaving their job for one where they get health insurance. That's craziness to me. Mike Page says, I'm 63 years young. I added that part for you. Mike was granted disability when I was 60 and have 5 to 7 year mind. I wouldn't worry if I were you. I had a failed work attempt. As we discussed, it's probably not going to be a big deal, but I would send it into them. But it was only for parts, because they're going to get it anyway. They're going to get it anyway. Just do that little quiet little letter. It was in my previous field. It was for 1 month. No, I thought you said it was 2 weeks. Just kidding. No SGA. I just say, why not follow the rules when you can, particularly when it's not going to hurt you? All the rules, send them the letter. At worst, you're going to get an 820. That's for workers that got W-2s, and it's going to show, because they're eventually going to get it it's going to show up in your detailed earnings statement. And if it's only, what was it, a couple $1,000? It sounds like it's SGA, maybe. All right. I think I already asked you. So I'm just reading old questions now, Mike, right? Yeah, I think I would. I would. In that nice, quiet little way, fax that letter, keep a copy, keep your facts confirmed. And Lizzie says, hi, Aunt Lizzie. I just wanted to let you know that we finally got SSI approved for our son with fetal alcohol syndrome. You just have to be patient and keep trying. I'm so glad for you, Aunt Lizzie. I'm happy for your son. Now remember, if he's under 22, keep all those medical records, get a copy of his SSA file, use that 3288 and keep pushing him until you get a copy of the file. Because one day, if he was found disabled before age 22, you're going to be able to apply him for DAC. And I don't know if he's under 22, but for everybody else. DAC, you got to prove. We talked about this last week. The SSI, if he won that before age 22, should tell the story. He's disabled early before age 22. But as JC, a different JC, I think, we talked about this last week, he was denied a hearing and the judge apparently didn't want to deny him, but because he no longer have the evidence that the SSA used itself to find that he was disabled before age 22 for SSI purposes, he couldn't do DAC at that time. 15 years later, now a parent is going, retired or whatever, and he can collect DAC. They said, you don't have any evidence of being disabled. Well, you guys said I was disabled back then. You had the evidence. So you present, but they're like, no, we don't have it. So keep that evidence. Keep it, keep it, keep it. Do not rely on any government agency, including the SSA, to keep it for you. They should be held, I think, laterally stopped from saying he was not disabled before 22. And again, I haven't done the research. I said I was going to do it. I just don't know when, to see if that rule was, that obvious common sense has been made into that newer rule. They did something tweaking with the res judicata and the collateral settlement. I just don't know what it is. So I do want to find that out, because that, when JC was telling me about that last week, I think it was last week, or the week before, I think it was last week. I was really, it really got my ire, because it is so inconsistent with truth. The truth, they are the ones that found him disabled and paid him SSI. And now they're saying, well, we don't have any of the proof. So now you got to try to prove it yourself and get the evidence. But you were paying him this whole time. Which means he probably had CDRs and he passed those too. Civil Chick says, they said I am claiming on my own record. All right. So will you, hold on. I don't want to mix you up with anybody else. I can't see. I mean, if you're filing for disability, yeah, that's going to be on your own record. If you are also 50 and 60, you could do disabled widow, but I would still fight on your own record, Civil. So, figure out how much your record is. If you made a ton more than your spouse, and you're going to ultimately want to have your own record payout once it grows, then there's something to be said for taking the widow benefit and then just riding that until you're 67 or 70 and getting a super high one on your own record. But if his is the bigger one, even if you get SSD, which is would be your full amount, taking under his record is going to be better anyway. Then you want to get your SSD, and then later on you could switch and get a higher one. You know what I'm saying? But you don't want to take all right, beat it. You don't want to take your early retirement if you can help it. All right, you're very annoying. All right, I'm going to take the last questions, guys. I'm going to try to get through these. It says, I was denied on my initial application and reconsideration. I'm waiting for a hearing. Psych eval, I could not remember all 3 words. I struggled and got 2 of them. Yeah, and they'll note that in there. I don't know if you had a chance to see your result on your consultative exam. It's funny how I'll see them when you can't remember the 3rd one, or sometimes even less, and they'll say, memory's normal. Really? Carrie says, main reason I applied was for nerve damage in my arms that was caused by the job I did for over 30 years. Okay, the cause doesn't matter, fortunately. But the fact that you may have a workers' comp claim can take away benefits from you, but I'm not going to go there. Workers' comp is a real pain in the rear. Stop. Unbelievable. I'm going to show you this video, and you can be ashamed. Pam D says, thank you so much for your videos. They are awesome. Thank you, Pam. By the way, I was approved last year in part due to your videos. Well, that's awesome. And your diligence, I'm sure. I appreciate, Pam. That's really kind of you to say. Everybody's wishing Willie a happy birthday. El Rule just wished Willie a happy birthday, and some other people up above. Willie says the DLI is 9/30/29. That is good. You've got 3 years ahead of you, so that's not as good as 5. But that means you can file again if you haven't already. So yeah, just go to the website, Willie. I will tell them when you're in there, just say, I spoke to Stephanie. She said to send it right over to her. Whoops. And then say what your name is in here, and then we can confirm. They can confirm, so they're not feeling like they're slacking. El Rule is 63, going to be 64 in 3 days. How happy birthday to you upcoming there, El Rule. Greg Pondle says, thanks. You're welcome. Civil Chick says, I got my pegs in the holes. Have received calls from SSA and IDHS. They want the paperwork done. Weird. Feel like I am on fast track or something. Well, fingers crossed for you, Civil. Says $912 a month health insurance with a $5,000 deductible makes me sick. That is sick. I agree with you. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Some people who are not invalids in terms of not bedridden or wheelchair bound, some even in a wheelchair, sometimes they will take that under SGA part-time job. Sometimes it's house sitting on their own. It's like gigger work, but they make sure to pay the taxes on all the revenue and not write it all off and all that stuff, or do it under the table, because their case is pending and when put to the DLI. But in a separate vein, earning the money regardless of what you do, sometimes they'll do it just to earn a couple $100 a week or $1,000 a month, so they get their health insurance, so they can prove their case, and then they can stop doing that if they want. Just something to be thinking about. Mike says, Paige, I'm sure Attorney Joy, I thought I had deleted the previous post. No sorries. They are aware, Mike is saying, they are aware that I tried working. I informed them and sent pay stubs. Perfect. So you did everything right, and you have your fax confirm or your proof that you sent it. Always have proof that you sent it, because they lose stuff. Just making it so far. Good to see you again. Hey, good morning. I don't currently have an attorney for my remand hearing, so I'm representing myself right now. I already submitted an OTR request. I wanted to ask, since the OTR has already been submitted, would an attorney still be able to step in and help at this stage, or is it usually better to say pro se once the remand process is already moving? You know, it's probably always better to have an attorney. Getting one can be hard if your hearing's 2 months away. But there are attorneys that will just take it anyway. I don't know that they actually contribute much at that point, but they'll take it because what if you win? They make a fee. So, you know, we do things a little bit differently here. I don't want to go in. I won't go in on that kind of basis because I either have to be able to do the work. I'm very anal. I can't tolerate a case that has not had all the stuff we can do when I go in front of the hearing. I just can't. Mike Page says, and it was for 2 weeks of actual work over a month's time. Gotcha. Spread out. So, I mean, you could ask, just making it, shop around, see. There are attorneys that will take it at any stage, and some of them prefer it at that later stage because think about it, they don't have to do any of the prior work. They just have to show up for a half hour at the hearing, which would probably be MS Teams. Check that. Oops, stop that. How do you get a copy of your SSDI mental health evaluation? You can ask. I mean, I don't know if the adjudicator will send you a copy. If you have an attorney, they have it. It's in your electronic file, or it will be shortly. You might be able to ask it. You're just trying to tick me off. You are unbelievable. I'm not getting you any treats. No treats today. Or since your bird is cracking me up. She's not, I know this is probably your first time here, Carrie. She's not normally like this. Ticked off because she thinks that she should be having all sorts of yummies like fresh mozzarella. She likes vodka pasta. She just eggs, and she hasn't had any of that today. I'm probably not going to bring you next time. Just saying. Your behavior's been atrocious. Thank you for all your information. Michael, you are so welcome. Willie said, submitted a while ago on the guy named Robin. Robin. Okay. I think we are out of questions, guys. I'm going to put a misbehaving bird in her condo. She does have a condo. It's pretty nice. Came with her. Oh, Elril says her dogs are spoiled also. Yeah, we got those pinned. Anyway, all right, guys, it's good to see you today. And I hope you all have a great rest of your week. 12 o'clock pre-recorded. A lot of these segments are going to be broken out into like 3 or 4 questions and then put into separate clips. One can see what questions are covered and say, that's the one I want to listen to. Yeah, we're seeing how that's going. Next Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is our live stream as usual. So come with your questions. It's always great. What else? Yeah, have a great week and weekend, and I hope to see you next week. And all the support we can get for our 12 o'clock pre-recordeds is greatly appreciated because that is what makes those categories that are always waitlisted move along, and we can take more of those cases. Those are those kind of cases that no one seems to want to take. Hopefully, that will continue to grow the way it's going. I'm pretty pleased with it so far, that we've been able to do it that way through this channel. That's awesome. Thank you guys. I appreciate. There's a few more. Independence just popped in. Hello all. Hello to you too, Independence. You're late to the game. Tony P's in the house. It's penne alla vodka, not vodka noodles. I said vodka pasta, didn't I? Sometimes we don't use penne, Tony. Although you're probably Italian and know a lot more about it than me. But I used to work for an Italian-American restaurant, and it was so good. I'll give it a shout out. It's the Lamplighter in Chester. I think they're still there. They really were good. Old school cooking. Lots of wonderful sauces. It was so great. I used to work there too when I was doing my gypsy work. When I first hung my shingle and had no cases before SSD and all that. When I was right at out of school for 5 years and decided I didn't want to work at a firm anymore. So I did my moonlighting, serving, and then bartending till like 2 a.m. or midnight or depending on the day. So you love my bird, Carrie? Yeah. She's at Amazon. Independent says, great topic idea, the difference between Title II and concurrent. I do actually have videos explaining the difference between SSD, which is Title II, and SSI, which is Title 16. They are a little dated, not that it's changed, but maybe I should freshen them up and do a fresh one. Because they're probably the first ones I did, and that's like 5 years ago. You'll get a kick out of it, probably. Let's see. Bye, Elrol. Independence is hungry. What? Because we're talking about penne alla vodka, as Tony says. Elliot's in the house. Hi, Elliot. Hi here. I'm here. Just noticing you're live, but I can't stay on long. So by the time you get to me, I'll probably be gone. I get it. She likes eggs and that a little bit weird, cannibalistic. Yes, Pam. That's what we say all the time. Yep. It's pretty funny. Well, scrambled though. She likes it. She also likes egg salad. Mr. Two Scoop says, I have MS and I'm in reconsideration. My neurologist ruled my essay a 7.5 and Romberg present. How does the DDS view that? That wouldn't be enough for me to really say, because that's only one tiny little piece, and it's the whole totality of the evidence plus your vocational profile is very important. Sweet says Independence. I'm sure you're not talking about me and you're talking about the bird. And it says, yes, ma'am. Would my pension lessen the SSD? It should not. Mr. Two Scoops, EDS. I don't know. I don't know anything about your case, Mr. Scoops. So I mean, everything that's positive and shows limitation is helpful. The question is there enough of it to show that you can't do? I'm going to assume all 12,000 jobs that exist in substantial numbers in the economy. Okay. All right, guys, we'll call it a day. I'm leaving here in about 45 minutes to take my kid to the ultrasound, and I will chat with you guys later. As you know, if you have any questions or something you want in a video, post it under any video, any of the pre-recordeds or any video at all, because I will see it. I get to them in within about a week now. It's a little slower because there's just been a lot going on. And I try to keep it in the back of my head, like, oh, do a video on that, do a video. So I will do that. But in the meantime, a lot of the videos right now are clips of questions and answers. So people don't have to sit through this whole thing with a list out in the description of these are the things that are covered in this one. And there's like the title usually talks about one of the things that are talked, but you can't really fit too much in the title. One of the issues discussed, questions asked, but there is a short list at the top of the description so you can see what was touched on in that. So let's say you're interested in CDRs and you see that we touched on CDRs, maybe you want to catch that video and see what we talked about. All right. Thank you, Independence. I hope you have a great evening also. All right. Yeah, leave your question on the comments. That's perfect. Thank you all. KU, thank you to you too. Pam D, you as well. Nice to meet you. And I will see you guys next week. Hopefully, bring your friends and share, like, and what do they say? Comment. All right. Bye, guys.